All right, I hope you had a nice break, and we will take a closer look at more of the news, and we're going to look at a little bit of the agenda. We're going to look at import. We're going to look a little bit about graphics, a little bit about administration, specifically about administrative images. We're going to look at SOLIDWORKS Visualize, routing, electrical simulation, flow, and plastics. And a closer look at PDM, some nice news there, and also the nice news in 3D experience. And we'll take a new round of questions and answers before we end. All right, so for import, what is new there? There are actually some nice news about IFC, which is this file format that you might use when you work with something which is supposed to be placed inside a building. Then you might get an IFC file from your partner to place things inside. So before we speak about that, first a little look at step file import. Just mentioned that in SOLIDWORKS 2022 it is faster to import a step file, much faster than in SOLIDWORKS 2021, and also quite a lot faster than Inventor actually. SOLIDWORKS have themselves made this diagram, and that this is their statistics. So for a given step file, import is much faster now. And for the news in 2022, further with the import, we're looking at this IFC news. So this is a little building that we're placing our submersible inside. First, a little look on exporting IFC files. You now have quite a lot more choices when exporting IFC files, which is worth to mention. And but I think the really big news is the import side of it, because now you can choose what in the IFC file that you want to import. So if you are sent the whole building project from your partner and you just need a wall or a door, you can actually select that from the metadata in the file. So this is a huge improvement for those of you who are working with large IFC files. You only open what you actually need to do your design job. So that's IFC. We are also looking at some news in DXF export, because now you can actually transfer sketch color to the DXF file and it will stay in the same color. Coloring a sketch in SOLIDWORKS is quite easy. Just right click on your sketch and choose color. I believe it's called sketch color. And this color will transfer to the DXF file when you export it. So you can use this in many aspects. You can use it to sort of signal what kind of manufacturing step something is supposed to belong to. And it will also transfer to the DXF file, as you see here in your drawings. In this case, the bend lines is red and so on. So this is draft side. So nice news with DXF export.
Yeah, then I'm going to look at I'll show you something regarding graphics. Lightweight graphics. We have now, so that SOLIDWORKS 2022 will update lightweight models. They will have the 3D texture-based cosmetic threads, which we have looked at a little bit, and also the silhouette edges are now included in lightweight. So as we can see now, cosmetic and appearance do change during the design of a model. We have either it is an assembly or in a part, we are going to add textures and we're going to add colors. This will now be updated when you open the model lightweight. Doesn't matter if it was saved or not, with or without the changes. Now it will be updated if the change is done on the part. This is the new stud or texture. This was enhanced and it was put out some releases ago. Now it's even better. making it easier for you to create complex geometry on surfaces. You can use the texture and you can add pattern with the texture to create complex geometry much more easy. The handling is better and you do not lose performance using these functions. And here we can see the stud. Another graphical change in SOLIDWORKS is the introduction to this texture-based cosmetic threads. This is used on all kinds of threads that you are creating, even if you are making them yourself using annotations or using the whole wizard or the new stud feature. Easier to see, easier to hold the control on what parts that have threads or not. Performance in SOLIDWORKS is updated yearly. Now we can see that zoom, pan, rotate is even quicker. You have the amount of 10% better performance with the new release of SOLIDWORKS 2022. Yeah, and here we can also see the difference much easier with the new enhanced cosmetic thread. This is the old one from 21. It's more gray, and this is the new one, which are brighter to see, easier to see. Administrative image. The news on administrative image is that we now have the possibility to use nested groups. It's easier to use groups in the image. You can also add the vault setup inside the image. If you are creating a new installation, you can add the vault, and there are also some electrical options. As you can see here now, I will click on the create an administrative image and deploy it to the new types. You can see we have the standard administrative image, and on the next we can use remote client administrative image or compressed administrative image. The remote is created to use for the people that are working off the office. They are working from home. You don't need to send the complete package from the server. They can download it from the internet using the Solid download site. Much easier to create the image and distribute it without needing to have the VPN connection. Compressed administrative image is when you have the same as a standard administrative image, but the files are compressed, so it's easier to ship. It's for upgrades. User must download the entire image rather than just patches and so on. And inside, when you're starting to create the image, you will see that you have easier access to create groups. You can move the groups around to add software to the separate users. So, but you need to read the installation manager to get the whole picture of it. So we will not show that right now, but it is even better, much easier to work.
What is new with SOLIDWORKS Visualize? Many things actually. So let's look at that. We are going to, if you're going to make a rendering of this big submersible, we want to place it in its natural environment, on a boat or under the sea or whatever. And for that purpose, there are actually quite a few nice things that you can use now. Here we are going to place the submersible on the top of an image, and we want to match the perspective of the submersible to the image. And what you have now is these lines that you can use to sort of capture the perspective of the image, and it will give an input or different inputs to the camera, the virtual camera, which will make sure that the boat looks natural in that image. So it's now really much easier to place the product in its environment so that it looks natural. Very nice improvement in my opinion. from before, you have the ability to rotate the light, because we need to align the light direction with the light direction in the image. And as you can see on the back part of the submersible, the shadow hits the wall of the boat, and we actually want the shadow to sort of creep up the wall. So for that, we can insert a new thing in Visualize, which is called a shadow catcher. So it's basically you tell an item in Visualize that it will have shadows on it, but other than that, it will be transparent. So the result is this nice break of the shadow that makes the submersible looks even more natural, and your renderings are improved. So it's a very nice addition. A lot of people want their renderings to be in its natural surroundings. Another improvement, you can insert polygon files like this fish. That's not new. The new thing is that you can actually make a school of fish, so many fishes together, using this scatter function. So it will actually make a random pattern of whatever you want to random patterns of. So, and why not a school of fishes? So it will also apply random scale and rotation to the instances of the pattern. So it is really nice thing to make effects like this. So this is a finished rendering, how it looks. And also this is a finished rendering of the deck rendering, and also the submersible underwater. And instead of fishes, of course, you can use bubbles or something like that. So so scatter is a very nice thing to have. That's SOLIDWORKS Visualize.
We are going to look at routing. Not to mix the two components, I'm going to talk about SOLIDWORKS routing electrical, not the electrical part. That's after this one. What's new in SOLIDWORKS 2022 is that you now have a easier way to create components. If we can see that we have the C points in SOLIDWORKS, and we also have something called cable points in SOLIDWORKS. If I zoom up a bit here, you can see this part. If we now use the so-called create C point with manufacturer part, you have the possibility to much easier create connection points, and these are added to a table with a terminal list. And this terminal list is from the manufacturer. You have the possibility to import new components, and even if I now leave this part without having added all the connectors, when I take it back and create C points from manufacturer part, this list will show, and I can add the not assigned points. The next one is that we now have support for what we are calling black shells. It's improvements to ensure that you don't break the cable between the connection and the cable. This one will also be found in the design library. You need to create the route first, then you add the black shell, and then you will need to edit the route to connect the correct connection point, so it goes through the black shell. And of course, this is supported in flattened harness. So when you take the cable and you want to lay it flat out on the 2D drawing, this is supported. We also have the possibility now to create what we call cable endpoint. This can be put on outside of the component in SOLIDWORKS, and it will makes it easier for you to control where your cable is going to fit. So that was the news in routing. Now the next slide, which is electrical. We have the electrical content portal, which are also in the task pane, where you can import components from a supplier. ECP is it called. It's a icon that you click on in the menu, and you will start this task pane, and you can start to import a PLC or whatever. Also, there is a change in data sheets. If the component has a data sheet that you want to add to the project, you can now get the PDFs inside the project, and when you create and save the project, you will have everything in one project, one PDF, easy as that.
Thank you. We're going to look at simulation. And just to start with, we shall see that studies that use bonded contact, which is quite common when you use welded structures, for instance, it will solve much faster in 2022 than it did in 2021, which is a huge improvement for those of you who are working with welded constructions and simulating those. We are going to look at the little simulation case. We're going to look at the closing mechanism for this little hatch, which is closing the submersible, and it's going to be absolutely watertight. So we're going to make sure that it will actually close with this mechanism. We are going to look at this case here, and looking at this hatch, which is on the top of the submersible, and this closing mechanism is on the inside of this hatch. So this hatch here, yeah, we're going to. I think I mentioned this, but this bonded contact simulation is much faster than it used to be. So back to our hatch. It's important that this hatch is closing tightly enough. So to ensure that, we're going to look at this mechanism. So it's supposed to be closing with at least 500 newtons. So these clamps here are ensuring this tight fit. So we can divide this study into three, because it's symmetric, radial symmetric, and for this connector here, we can actually replace this connector now with a new connector type in 2022, which is a virtual rod connector. And we're going to select what kind of connection we have between the points on each side. And we can also select what kind of thickness we're going to have on this connector. The profile is selected. It's a circular profile, and this will also simplify the study quite a lot using virtual connectors. You have a number of those virtual items that you can use in simulation to make it easier to simulate, basically. So we're going to run our study, and we're going to use this blended curvature measure, which is a meshing method, which lets you basically have tighter mesh in certain areas of your study. Looking at the centerpiece here, it's going to convert the torque that the user is applying to the wheel, and it will use this torque to push this rod to the clamps, and the clamps will actually close the hatch. So what you can see is that the area here is yeah, we're going to update the area here, and the force here is below what we need. So we need to change the design in some way, and we have one possible change is just to prolong the arm, extend the arm so that it's actually longer. Then it will clamp with a higher force, basically. So we run the update of the study again, and we can see that the force is now over 500 newtons, which is what we need. So this is like sort of regular SOLIDWORKS simulation, which is included in SOLIDWORKS Premium. This was the news in some of the news in SOLIDWORKS simulation for 2022.
Yeah, it's flow simulation. We're going to look at the flow simulation, and the new stuff in flow simulation is mostly regarding plots. How to get the results out of the flow simulation and compare it and see what is the best option and so on. So we can now see the flux plot in the Transient Explorer, and for that we can use to create a better look of the light. This lamp down here is the case, and what we want to see is how the light is going to change on the depth and how many watts are put in, how much energy are put into the lamp, and we're going to see the heat and the light are going to change in the depth and temperature of the water. I'm not going to show you that now. I'm going to just talk about the possibilities. So when we create an analysis here, we can take equations, and you can put up the equations to compare the different plots, and that's the plot difference plots. You will then get the plot from the separate analysis, and you can merge them together, and you can see the best plot over time. The merge option then gives you the possibility to collect all these analysis into one, and it's easier to see. Scene plot enhancement is that now the view of the model, how it's positioned during the analysis, are saved within the model. So now you will see the same results as you see on the screen when you analyze it, and it remembers it. It really stores the model orientation and its zoom and the parts visibility and so on. So the result summary is everything compared together. It's easy to see. You put up with an easy small equation to get all results laid upon top of each other, and you can see it how it takes out. So SOLIDWORKS Flow Simulation 2022 keeps you in control of your result, providing a new powerful plot and flexibility to see the results. Regarding plastics, you have the same with this one. You have a new symmetry boundary condition. It's easier to see, like this part. It has a right and a left part, and you can now easier see the symmetry when you are creating a mold. Cylindric boundary conditions is if you put it out in a cylindric mold. We're going to see it later. And the new injection location advisor will be improved to get the best result for the flow of the material. And the material database is expanded. You have 100 new materials and 1500 updated materials. So when you are adding material to your plastic simulation, it will be more correct. As you can see, this is the circular, and you will get the new inlet. Best positions to create and see how it cools down, which are now 20% faster. If you use the direct solver, the whole simulation is 50% faster, and it also supports the scale for a 4K or higher screen if you have it. It's more a nice to have thing than a practical.
Thank you. We are going to look at SOLIDWORKS PDM. It has also some nice improvements in 2022. To start with, we're just going to mention that PDM 2022 no longer supports SQL standard 24 14, and now we're talking about PDM Professional. So those of you who want to upgrade to PDM 2022, you need to use a newer version of the SQL server software. This is mentioned in system requirements. So it's a good tip whenever you are upgrading something, check the system requirements to be informed of what is required. If you are on support, you can also, of course, call us or mail us about that. All right, so now to the news in PDM 2022. We can now say in the PDM client itself what we are working at. So there's actually a field for setting our status, and we can use that to signal to the colleagues, those who are connected to the same Vault view, not the same Vault view, not the same Vault, what we are working at. So in this case, I'm finishing the rear frame, and other colleagues can see this, and you can use this to sort of stay informed of what you and your colleagues are doing at the moment. This is a nice function if you're not working from the office all the time. Maybe you're a little bit here and there, spread working on the same project, but spread a little bit all over. You can actually tell each other what your status is and what you're working at. So that's a little nice detail about 2022. You can now swap between the full eDrawings preview and the bitmap preview. Swapping is not new, but it's now easier to swap. And the good thing about that is that if you have a really large assembly, it can take some time to get the preview, the 3D preview to show. So instead, if you can manage with the bitmap preview, just using a static image of the assembly, that is possible to choose quite easy, and swap between them if you want to do that. And also, speaking about the eDrawings preview, the full eDrawings interface is now available in the PDM client. So you can measure, you can look at the structure of the assembly or drawing, and you can do a whole lot of things in the eDrawings preview that you couldn't do before. So also a good news bit is in 2022. So if we make a change in the assembly, we're going to change the drawing as well. And now you can use open drawing from any location. So as long as the part or assembly has a drawing, you don't have to worry about where this drawing is at, further down the project. It will find drawing no matter where it is, using open drawing. So it makes it easier to find drawings, and you don't have to spend time searching for drawings. If you are an administrator of the PDM system, we have now combined the nodes for users and groups into one users and groups management node. So it's a bit more logic to use the interface in the admin. And also for administrators, you can now transfer a lot more information from the Active Directory if that's what you're using. Now we're talking about PDM Professional. We can choose to transfer some information from Active Directory. For instance, into 2022, you can transfer images from the Active Directory if you have that. And also from Active Directory, you can transfer group names. That is not exactly new in 2022, but the new thing is that you can actually give an alias to this group name, because a group name itself might be defined by an IT person, which is not, and the group name might not reflect the project or the team which is in this group. So you can actually now give a new name to that group in PDM, which is quite useful. We spoke about detailing mode, and detailing mode is very good to use when you're working with a drawing, but when you are delivering a drawing, putting it to release, you might want to put it to sort of convert it to the full version of the drawing. And you can actually now block transitions of drawings which are in detailing mode to prevent that. So and also you can add a little check on the drawing data card that signals the user whether or not this is saved in detailing mode. It's a new system variable that you can use for that. So this actually makes detailing mode even more useful than it was, because it's now better integrated with PDM 2022. All right, so that was some of the news in PDM 2022, and I think we're having a new poll. Sorry, is that correct? Yeah. So get ready. There are some new questions from us to you coming up. How do you manage your files today? We have just spoken about SOLIDWORKS PDM. So do you manage it by PDM? Do you manage it and not only SOLIDWORKS PDM, but maybe you use another PDM system? Are you managing it in the cloud somehow, with 3D Experience, with some kind of other cloud-based PDM system, or do you use Windows Explorer, either storing your files locally or having it on a share on your network, for instance? So which one of these three are you using? And I think it's quite even split between those who are using PDM and those who are using Windows Explorer. Actually, a little bit more people saying that they are using Windows Explorer. All right, thank you very much. And next question, what is your preferred install method? Thomas talked about administrative images. Is that what you're using, or are you using manual install by using SOLIDWORKS Installation Manager, just installing on your PC, and all of you are doing that? So it's more common for in big companies to use admin images. The news in images in 2022 makes it actually a lot more convenient for also smaller companies to use admin images. So that, I believe, is something which more people are going to use from now on. But I think still most of you say that you are installing manually. And I think that's actually more common. But please take a look at images and check the news there. All right, and now I think we are going to look at 3D Experience. Okay, so a little bit about 3D Experience. We are first going to look at cloud-based sculpting, and not only cloud-based sculpting, but how you can cooperate between the cloud-based 3D Experience platform and desktop SOLIDWORKS. So in this little scenario here, we're going to make a freeform model of the outside of this submersible, and we are bringing in some SOLIDWORKS files into X-Shape, which is the app that you see here. We're also bringing in a little image that we can use for reference, and we are going to model with freeform. And in X-Shape, the way you model is by using this subdivision surface modeling. So basically what you do is bringing in a primitive, which is a box in this case. And from this box, you can actually make a lot of different shapes by just manipulating the faces, the points, and the edges of this primitive. We are speeding up quite a lot here, but as you can see, we are modeling on one side, and eventually we are mirroring it onto the other side, and adding more and more details. So at some point we are satisfied, and we will bring the file into SOLIDWORKS, and this will transfer quite well into SOLIDWORKS. It will be a solid body that you can use for detailing in SOLIDWORKS if you need to, for instance, making a shell or other things. So here in this case, the designer on the platform has now made this shape, and it can now be opened by the person who is working in desktop SOLIDWORKS. And we're going to look a little bit closer on that. So when he's opening this shape, he will find the shape, and he will open it up, and it will come in like this. And from here we can do some further work on this shape. So as you can see, it lines up quite nicely, but around the original geometry. And you can also use the platform to communicate between those two persons. And here you can see a little bit further down, you can see that he has made some changes to this body, making it cut and making some shell. So this is what you can do today. It's available, and especially for designers, product designers, they tend to like working on the whole shape at once. So this is a really nice tool for especially designers and also you are making freeform models. And you can go back and forth. So this is basically just showing that here the person who's using this 3D Experience tool, he is adding more details. And this way you can sort of transfer back and forth the files. And in this case, it will add some quite complicated cuts using some combined operations. So this is a fully qualified solid in this tool, and it will remain a solid also inside SOLIDWORKS. And everything that you can do with the solid, you can do with this freeform shape. Yeah, so a little bit closer to the finish, you can see that the outside body is now finished, and all the detailing is done. That was cloud-based sculpting. You also have cloud-based data management. And what is that? Both big and small companies, they need some kind of data management, and it's not so keeping track of all the relations between drawings, parts, and assemblies is actually quite a tough job for any tool actually. And you have some tools that are popular that are not really designed for keeping track of these references, like Dropbox or SharePoint or those kinds of tools. So they can't really handle these file references in a satisfying way. But by using the 3D Experience platform, you can actually do that. So this will keep track on all the references between all the SOLIDWORKS files, and you can use this as a PDM system. So in this case, we are just working in desktop SOLIDWORKS and adding some toolbox stuff, making a little drawing. And when the user is logging onto the platform, you can see that he has a nice panel on the right side showing the status of each file. The green icons, they are basically files that are stored on the platform, and the orange icons are basically files that are changed in this session that needs to be uploaded to the platform. So in this case, we will save the drawing, and we will decide to move one of these components into a bookmark, which is a way to navigate through your files on the platform. So we'll put this particular drawing on in a particular bookmark, and we'll save everything. So now you can see all the status icons are green and everything is updated on the server. And we can also set the maturity of the file. So it's now in work. We want to set everything to released. So those files that were not released, they are set to released. And going back to this bookmark, which is also available from inside SOLIDWORKS, we can also release the drawings from there if you want. And we can also add more files. So nice little upload button where you can upload product sheets, user manuals, whatever we like to have with our files. In this case, it's actually a SOLIDWORKS Composer file which is uploaded, and the platform also fully supports Composer SMG format. All right, so that's a little bit about cloud data management. You can handle design data in a safe way, and you can have full tracking of everything, and it's all integrated into the SOLIDWORKS if you want to do that. So I think there's a round of questions. The question is, if we update to SOLIDWORKS 2022, do we have to update PDM to 2022 as well? If so, why? What will happen if you use 2022 with PDM 2020? The thing with PDM and SOLIDWORKS is that you have to have, if you have SOLIDWORKS 2022, you have to have PDM 2022 as well, or a newer version of PDM. The PDM system cannot be older than the year version of the SOLIDWORKS installation, basically. And that is decided by SOLIDWORKS. So that's just the way it is. All right, and I think we are closing the end now. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for participating, and I hope to see you next year. All right.
Okay, thank you.